Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday's edition of War Stories. My name, of course, is Ryan Smeltz, and I was just thinking about the past few episodes in this episode, and I want to make sure that I don't move too quickly, and I want to make sure that I don't miss any details. I also spoke to a buddy on the phone yesterday, possibly the day before. I have kind of a bad memory. However, uh, he made a joke about, oh, I hope some of those stories include me, which they absolutely will. And I'm not going to mention his name just yet. Because as you saw yesterday, I included Chris, and of course, I'm mentioning him again today. So, if you were a part of any of these stories, and maybe you feel like I don't do it justice, or I miss some details, or you have your own version or perspective, then definitely reach out. Let me know. I would be happy to go back and revisit the story to make sure that I tell it correctly. Today, jumping into it, is titled Getting Ready. I'm going to talk about the delayed entry program. If you saw the show notes yet, then you see a bunch of acronyms. I'm going to talk about the ASVAB, and I'm going to talk a little bit about MEPS. Okay, so yesterday where we left off was pretty much I went and spoke with a recruiter. When I actually signed paperwork, he was out of the office. So that's when uh, the other guy got his name on my paperwork. I can remember the guy's name uh, that was on my paperwork. I don't want to bring it up because I can't remember the guy's name who initially talked to me. However, I will tell you in all of this at the recruiting station one day, I feel like I had raised some concerns about either not getting in or not qualifying or possibly certain medical issues. And we had stepped out back of the recruiting station, me and this one female staff sergeant, and I was voicing these concerns to her, and she basically said, I enlisted with full blown asthma, and hey, as long as you can control it and you don't need to, whip your inhaler out in the middle of basic training, then whatever you're looking to accomplish, you can accomplish. She got all the way through and had been in for years, possibly 10 years at that point, I'm not sure, and made it all the way to staff sergeant because she wanted to. Um, that's another example is I actually went through basic training with a girl who needed glasses, and for one reason or another, she used contacts, never held a conversation with anyone. So here I am with BCGs, the classic birth control glasses, and she didn't have them. And I asked, "How did you get through basic training with your contacts without anybody ever saying anything?" And she was like, "I don't know. I didn't bring it up, and nobody ever asked, and so I just did it." So that those are a couple little stories about when people say, "Oh, I can't enlist because I broke my arm when I was 5," or I have this medical problem. Sure, if you go into MEPS, talk to the doctor, and say, "Hey, I have this, that, or the third," that's really just you bringing up something you know is going to deny you entry into the service. However, I believe recruiters and people who actually want to enlist in the military all kind of have the same premise. Let them find out. If it is something that you have dealt with, such as asthma, your entire life, and you know how to keep it under control, maintain it, if there is not a waiver for it, you go talk to the doctor, then maybe you just let them discover it on their own, and then maybe it's not a problem. Um, I don't work for a recruiting station. I'm not trying to get people in the military, so take that. with a grain of salt. However, going back to the delayed entry program, I talked to this staff sergeant and voiced those concerns, and she explained how she made it through with asthma. And, then I did things such as PT. I want to say it wasn't that early. It might have been at 6:30. I don't remember. I don't remember going a lot. I remember going once or twice, showing up and working out with everybody at the recruiting station. So, I got a little experience of how organized PT might be. Then I remember there was an event where the recruiter invited me along, and there was a bunch of different branches, and they were doing different things. Excuse me, such as drill and ceremony, like facing movements and marching and push-up challenges, stuff like that. And I remember going to that. I remember taking part in the DNC aspect, and they had like a competition to see, hey, I throw out your facing movements, left face, right face, whatever, and whoever executes them correctly, which basically just if he says left face and you left face, and you get to say in. Some people, especially those who had no experience and had not been in the service yet, if you say left face, they might execute a right face and get confused, and then he would say, "Oh, you're out." So kind of like a Simon Says deal, and I think I won. I don't remember. It wasn't something where you got a prize, and everybody, even my recruiter, was like, "Wow, you're really good at this." But in Police Explorers, I was a member of the DNC team, and we had actually gone out to Flagstaff, Arizona for a national competition, which we failed miserably because we all got nervous in the heat of the moment. But we even had a step. It was very similar, not exactly like the Razzle Dazzle in Stripes, the movie, but it was kind of like that, where the person calling the cadence would say Razzle Dazzle March, and then we executed a series of steps that just looked really cool for a single command. And they called that out during the competition. We severely screwed it up, but that was a lot of training and practice. I want to say over the course of 6 months to a year, we were getting ready for that competition. And so by the time I was in the delayed entry program, we went out to this field or whatever, and they did a handful of facing movements as a competition. That was almost, elementary for me, super basic stuff at that point. So everybody else was like, "Oh wow, you're really good at this," and I was just like, "No, I've actually had a lot of practice." So I think for anyone going into the delayed entry program, the purpose of it is to prepare you for basic training, but basic training is also to prepare you for the Army. So for anyone going in that doesn't have any experience or know anything about that stuff, just act like a sponge and soak it up. That's your opportunity. Not everybody gets to be a part of the delayed entry program. Like I said, my involvement was extremely short because I shipped out very quickly from when I had talked to the recruiter. When Chris told me to come down to the recruiting station, which, like I said, was probably February, March timeframe, my ship out date changed one time because my dad was on the road driving truck, and I wanted to make sure he was there to send me off at MEPS. but it was May 9th, 2005 was my official entry date into the Army. So, anyways, that's kind of an overview of the delayed entry program. I went a little long, so maybe I'm going to take these, the ASVAB and the MEPS stories and just kind of spread them out and do uh, a couple episodes on those as well. And I also have a small little story about the movie Stripes as it relates to my last job before the Army and enlisting. But that's what I have for you today. Hopefully, you will enjoy these stories if you are not already. I get pretty deep into what I did while I was at my units, both on my free time as well as during training. So stick around. If you haven't figured it out by now or didn't listen to the first episode, I am literally walking you through my entire career before the Army all the way to the end. So it should turn out to be a pretty good time. If you like this episode or you like any of the other episodes of War Stories or the Veteran Talk Show, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and I will see you on the next episode of War Stories.